That is really hard because like Brad was like the sort of major chemistry love of your life kind of like at the time, you know?
Gwyneth Paltrow just served the most devastating ex-revenge in Hollywood history, calling Brad Pitt dumber than a sack of sugar behind closed doors. But that savage intelligence assassination is just the beginning of this triple disaster featuring family heartbreak and a criminal investigation that exposes how fame's consequences compound across decades.
So, allegedly, Miss Goop herself has been playing the most sophisticated revenge game in Hollywood history. And honestly, the calculated cruelty is almost impressive in its precision. Amy Odell's explosive new biography, Gwyneth the Biography, just spilled the most savage celebrity breakup tea I've encountered, and I've covered some truly brutal Hollywood separations. But here's where it gets absolutely diabolical. Picture this scene. July 2000. Brad Pitt marries Jennifer Aniston in what everyone thought was Hollywood's perfect fairy tale. Meanwhile, Gwyneth Paltrow is sitting at some exclusive business dinner with cosmetics heiress Erin Lauder, the kind of gathering where Manhattan elite discuss their charitable foundations over $1,000 wine. The conversation naturally turns to her famous ex, and our wellness guru supposedly delivers the most brutal assessment in celebrity history. He's dumber than a sack of sugar. But wait, that wasn't even her most cutting observation. She regularly told their mutual friends that Brad has terrible taste in women, which is particularly rich coming from someone who dated Ben Affleck. And here's what's really telling. She confided that she felt genuinely sad when she learned about his marriage to Jennifer. Not hurt, not angry, sad. As if she pitied poor Jennifer for not understanding what she was supposedly getting into. Now here's where the cultural warfare gets fascinating. The relationship dynamics revealed this intense, class-based superiority complex that apparently doomed their romance from the start. Gwyneth, raised in Manhattan privilege by producer father Bruce Paltrow and actress mother Blythe Danner, allegedly felt intellectually superior to Missouri-raised Brad from day one.
And then like Ben was like technically excellent.
Her condescending attitude materialized in moments that are almost too perfect to believe. Get this, she actually said, "When we go to restaurants and order caviar, I have to say to Brad, this is beluga and this is osetra." Girl was literally treating a grown man like he needed remedial education in fine dining. The patronizing energy is absolutely stunning when you think about it. Here's someone who built an entire empire on spiritual enlightenment, supposedly educating her boyfriend about fish eggs like he's some kind of cultural peasant. But then it gets more complex. Makeup artist Kevin Aquan, who worked with both of them, supposedly warned Gwyneth that Pitt, quote, seemed to feel threatened by her success and advised her to end the relationship. Now, here's what's really interesting, though. Even while they were engaged in 1996, she admitted to Emma film crew members that she had serious doubts about Brad and apparently, quote, had a crush on Hugh Grant. The emotional detachment is almost clinical in its calculation. And listen to this timeline. Their entire relationship was apparently built on intellectual incompatibility that she recognized early but chose to exploit later. During their engagement period, she was already questioning their connection while maintaining the public facade of Hollywood's golden couple. The strategic nature of how she handled their breakup aftermath reveals someone who understood exactly how to weaponize social dynamics. Here's where her public versus private persona becomes absolutely fascinating. At the 2000 Toronto Film Festival, when some journalist had the audacity to ask about Brad's marriage to Jennifer, she snapped with what witnesses described as literal daggers in her eyes. "Are you really asking me this question? I can't comment on this kind of thing." The controlled fury was apparently palpable, but she maintained her sophisticated composure for the cameras. But privately, she was systematically destroying his reputation among their entire social circle with surgical precision. This wasn't emotional outburst revenge. This was calculated character assassination conducted through Manhattan dinner parties and Hollywood networking events. The sophistication of her approach reveals someone who understood exactly how to damage someone's reputation without ever appearing vindictive publicly. Now, here's what makes this whole situation even more fascinating.
Wow. Well, obviously I'd marry Chris Martin because he gave me my two children who are the loves of my life.
The woman who built a wellness empire on spiritual superiority and conscious living was apparently running the most sophisticated character destruction campaign in recent Hollywood history. She positioned herself as the enlightened one who'd tried to educate this intellectually inferior man, then expressed pity for his subsequent romantic choices. The psychological manipulation is almost artistic in its execution.
And here's the thing that really gets me. This revelation comes 25 years later, long after both of them have moved on to other marriages, divorces, and life phases. But Gwyneth's comments were preserved in friends' memories because apparently they were so memorably cruel that people couldn't forget them. That's the kind of verbal precision that leaves lasting impressions. But then the story shifts to something infinitely more heartbreaking. While Gwyneth was throwing sophisticated shade from the past, Brad's present family drama reached peak emotional devastation on July 12, 2025. His son Knox celebrated his 17th birthday by absolutely dominating a martial arts competition, while his desperate father remained thousands of miles away, completely powerless to participate in this milestone moment. Here's where it gets both inspiring and tragic. Knox destroyed his opponent at the IKF Point Muay Thai technical event on USC's campus, with footage showing him delivering masterful punches and kicks that demonstrate years of dedicated training. The teenager is apparently, quote, ripped, unquote, after 2 years of intense martial arts dedication, and he took home gold, while Angelina Jolie watched from the sidelines, visibly beaming with maternal pride, alongside daughter Vivian. But wait, the symbolism becomes even more devastating when you understand the timing. Brad was on a promotional tour for his F1 movie in London during his son's moment of athletic triumph. Sources reveal that Brad had, quote, desperately reached out before the twins' birthday, apparently hoping to, quote, make amends and possibly attend Knox's competition. But he received absolutely no response from Knox, his representatives, or anyone in the Jolie camp. Now here's what makes Knox's martial arts journey particularly poignant. His training started at age 13 in 2021, right when the family custody drama was reaching its most intense phase.
One more time. I think we know your answer.
I think Brad.
Brad, yeah.
And then Ben, yeah.
God bless Ben.
God bless him.
He chose to master Muay Thai, quote, the art of 8 limbs, using fists, elbows, knees, and shins, with precision that would honestly make his father's Fight Club character Tyler Durden proud. The irony is absolutely heartbreaking when you think about it. Here's this teenager who's literally embodying the fighter archetype his father made famous on screen, but they remain completely estranged in real life. Knox has developed into this disciplined martial artist who can apparently, quote, beat the crap out of opponents with technical mastery, yet he can't or won't engage in any kind of emotional combat with his own father. The psychological complexity is fascinating and tragic simultaneously. But get this, Knox is supposedly the only Jolie Pitt child who hasn't publicly rejected his father's surname. While Shiloh legally dropped Pitt the moment she turned 18, and Vivian removed it from theater program credits, Knox still maintains Jolie Pitt in official contexts. This apparently gives Brad his final, quote, glimmer of hope for eventual reconciliation before all his children completely sever ties.
And listen to this absolutely devastating family scorecard that puts Knox's position in context. Maddox, now 23, is completely estranged from Brad with no contact whatsoever. Pax, 21, publicly called Brad a, quote, world-class jerk and maintains total distance. Sahara, 20, uses only, quote, Jolie professionally and personally. Shiloh, 19, legally changed her name the moment she became an adult. Vivian, Knox's twin, professionally dropped Pitt from theater credits. Knox stands as Brad's absolute last connection to his children.
Gwyneth Paltrow is crediting her ex, Brad Pitt, for some valuable relationship lessons. The former couple met on the set of the film Seven in 1994, getting engaged in 1996 before calling things off a year later.
Here's what makes Knox's birthday victory both triumphant and heartbreaking. He's achieving these incredible personal milestones while maintaining this painful emotional distance from his father. His martial arts success represents genuine personal growth and discipline, but it's happening in complete isolation from paternal support or acknowledgement.
The kid is literally winning gold medals while his father sends desperate, unanswered messages from another continent.
The athletic achievement itself is genuinely impressive when you understand Muay Thai's technical demands. Knox has mastered striking techniques, defensive positioning, and competitive strategy that requires years of dedicated training. His coaches apparently describe him as naturally gifted, but also incredibly hardworking, qualities that suggest strong character development despite family chaos. But here's the thing that makes this situation particularly complex. Knox's continued use of his father's surname creates this strange dynamic where he maintains legal connection while enforcing emotional distance. It's almost like he's preserving the possibility of future reconciliation while protecting himself from current disappointment.
The psychological sophistication of a 17-year-old navigating these family dynamics is honestly remarkable.
But wait until you hear how this trilogy of Brad Pitt disasters concludes with a criminal investigation that reads like a Hollywood thriller.
And almost 3 decades later, Gwen is still singing Brad's praises, telling Vanity Fair in a March 19th interview. He's a very intriguing character. It's like having dated Prince William or something. And Gwyneth says dating Brad at the start of her career taught her about prioritizing her love life over work life. It's a lesson that she has no regrets about, even after being scolded by higher-ups for requesting time off for a film to be with Brad.
On July 7th, 2025, exclusive reporting revealed that sophisticated burglars had violated his $5.5 million Los Feliz fortress, and the breakthrough in solving this case involves crucial fingerprint evidence that might expose an entire international criminal operation. Now here's where the security failure becomes absolutely mind-bending. The circumstances preceding the June 25th heist create this almost unbelievable narrative of coincidental timing. Brad's 24/7 private security detail, which had maintained constant presence since 2023, mysteriously, suddenly disappeared a few days before the burglary, according to neighbors who'd grown accustomed to seeing unmarked security vehicles in the area constantly. But wait until you hear how this trilogy of Brad Pitt disasters concludes with a criminal investigation that reads like a Hollywood thriller. On July 7th, 2025, exclusive reporting revealed that sophisticated burglars had violated his $5.5 million Los Feliz fortress, and the breakthrough in solving this case involves crucial fingerprint evidence that might expose an entire international criminal operation. Now here's where the security failure becomes absolutely mind-bending. The circumstances preceding the June 25th heist create this almost unbelievable narrative of coincidental timing. Brad's 24/7 private security detail, which had maintained constant presence since 2023, mysteriously, suddenly disappeared a few days before the burglary, according to neighbors who'd grown accustomed to seeing unmarked security vehicles in the area constantly. The timing is either the most incredible coincidence in recent memory or suggests something far more calculated was happening behind the scenes. These weren't amateur opportunists. This was apparently a sophisticated 3-person crew who'd clearly done reconnaissance and understood exactly when the property would be most vulnerable. Here's how the actual burglary unfolded, and honestly, the execution is almost impressive in its precision. 3 suspects allegedly scaled the perimeter fence at exactly 10:30 p.m., gained entry through a front window using techniques that left minimal evidence, and then ransacked a location.
And in a 2022 conversation for Goop, Brad expresses his own words of appreciation, telling Gwyneth, "It's lovely to have you as a friend now, and I do love you." The actress has had many highly publicized romances, including her former marriage with Chris Martin from 2003 to 2016, and her current marriage to American Horror Story producer Brad Pitt. But she has no regrets with her love life.
In what investigators describe as a methodical search for specific, high-value items. But then, it gets more dramatic. The aftermath scene was apparently cinematically devastating. Furniture systematically overturned, personal belongings scattered throughout multiple rooms, and the front door ultimately boarded up with plywood sheets like some kind of crime scene fortress. The violation wasn't just financial. It was deeply personal and psychologically invasive. Now, here's the breakthrough that could change everything. Fingerprint evidence collected from the scene represents the investigation's absolute make-or-break moment.
Sources confirm that clear prints were lifted from multiple surfaces and immediately submitted to both local and federal databases for analysis. Results were expected within 1 week of collection. And investigators were apparently crossing their fingers for database matches that could finally identify the perpetrators.
But get this, if those fingerprints match existing records, this single burglary could potentially crack open a criminal network responsible for hundreds of similar crimes across multiple counties. The implications extend far beyond Brad Pitt's personal victimization to expose what law enforcement suspects is an organized burglary tourism operation that's been systematically targeting celebrities for over a decade.
And listen to this terrifying pattern that puts Brad's burglary in context. This crime fits perfectly into a celebrity targeting wave that's plagued Los Angeles throughout 2025. Recent victims allegedly include Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban, Tyler Perry, Tom Hanks, Rita Wilson, and, ironically, even Brad's ex-wife, Jennifer Aniston. The sophistication suggests coordinated criminal enterprises rather than random opportunistic crimes. Here's what makes these operations particularly insidious. The perpetrators allegedly exploit tourist visa loopholes to enter the United States specifically for criminal purposes. These so-called South American burglary crews supposedly use advanced reconnaissance techniques, electronic jamming devices to disable security systems, and carefully avoid weapons to minimize potential criminal charges if apprehended. The strategic calculation is honestly impressive in its criminal sophistication. By avoiding violent confrontation and focusing purely on property theft, these crews apparently minimize their legal exposure while maximizing their operational efficiency. They study celebrity schedules, security patterns, and property layouts with precision that rivals legitimate security consultants. This perfect storm reveals how fame creates multi-generational consequences, where past lovers weaponize cultural superiority, children forge identities in the shadow of family chaos, and criminal enterprises exploit celebrity patterns with calculated precision, demonstrating that even Hollywood's most scrutinized stars remain devastatingly human beneath the glittering surface of their public personas.